We pull up to the checkpoint and everyone is pointing their guns at us. I can see that they've got their fingers on the trigger. The one that I was really concerned about was the guy who was in this quickly made bunker made out of ecology blocks, this double walled ecology block bunker, because he had a machine gun of some kind. And he clearly had his finger on the trigger. And you could just tell by the look in their faces that they were tense. You know, I was assuming that the safeties were off, and some of them might have even already taken out the pre-travel in the trigger. So those things were ready to go. So it just really needed one tensious moment for a person to pull the trigger more than they intended, and then everybody else started to fire in what's called sympathetic fire, where when one person in a tense situation hears a gun go off, they just start pulling the trigger without even fully understanding why. So I had known this. I had researched sympathetic fire previously when I had got shot and wanted to understand, you know, what exactly happened in my situation. So I'm understanding that we are just one little twitch away from getting lit up in this situation. So the guy that I'm with, he's kind of upset. You know, we've been on the front lines. We were evacuating people that day, and there was always problems. You know, people didn't want to leave their pets. We had to tell them, hey, look, we can't take your goat, because it's not just the cats and the dogs. Like, a lot of people out there, it's like they're what we would consider like a farm animal. You know, was like, that was part of their subsistence living. You know, the milk from their goat or raising their pig or whatever the case is. So a lot of people wanted to take their pets with them, and we couldn't. We just didn't have the room. You know, when we were transporting people. So things always happened, right? You know, just when you get there, you get to the front lines, there's artillery coming in. You know, we find out last minute, hey, we can't cross this bridge. It's been zeroed in. You know, there's burning equipment or hardware on it. We just can't go there. You know, we're trying to find ways around. So we came back after curfew many times. But on this one particular night, Sergey was kind of getting upset. You know, it had been a really long day. We were just trying to get back. We had to get up really early the next morning and go do the same thing again. It's obviously tense for us because we're driving up and down roads that have destroyed equipment, and there's artillery coming in and out. And you know, so you want to get home and you just want to decompress. You just want to get a good night's sleep, have a meal, go to bed, shower, just do all that stuff. So Sergey was a little bit upset, and you know, he's just like, you know, hey, we're Ukrainian, you know, just let us go. We live here. Like, we know half of you guys, blah, blah, blah. And wanted to go. When I said to him, Sergey, because he was getting a wee bit irate. And when I said, hey, Sergey, you know, just, it's okay. Calm down. These guys have their fingers on the triggers. And he looked at me, it's like, what? Because he understood English. He spoke broken English, but he understood a lot. So he's clarifying. He's like, what? And I'm like, they have their fingers on the triggers. I said, just be careful about elevating the situation. Boy, did I regret saying that. He literally got out of the vehicle and started like shouting at them. Why are you pointing the guns at us with your fingers on the trigger? Like, we're Ukrainian. You know, like, what are we fighting for? You know, the translator's trying to loosely translate what's going on in this situation. But what happened is, for me and my attempt to de-escalate him, because I felt like we were literally just one nervous twitch away from a life-ended situation, it actually escalated him. So he actually rose and became more escalated in this situation to literally shouting at them and approaching them. Now the crazy thing is, they then started taking their fingers off the trigger. But boy, could that have went in a bad direction. You know, I got a huge lesson from that about understanding that people don't react the way that you think they will in a high stress situation. They just don't. You know, I've had guns pulled on me several times in my life, and as I just said, I've even been shot. And in none of the situations that I think it was going to go the way that I thought it was going to go. And I don't think it went the way that these other folks thought it was going to go either. Because in a couple of the situations, it did escalate me as well. where I'm like, are you kidding me? You're pointing a gun at me? That is not wise. It's not smart. It's not de-escalating the situation. What I needed to do was to de-escalate the situation. So I've got a video about Cal Rittenhouse. It's going to be part 2 to this video. But what I'm trying to get across to folks is that if you're a person that carries a weapon for self-defense, and you have this thought in your mind that presenting this weapon is going to end the situation, you really need to reconsider that. You really need to do some research and find out that it might actually be the thing that escalates the situation. Check out my Cal Rittenhouse lessons in self-defense and let me know what you think. Thank you.